Good morning, Rev Walter here, 11th December 2023. Can you believe it? 2 more weeks before we are done with the year. As far as this particular platform is concerned, 1 more week. And then the other week, we begin our countdown and call it a year, after which we'll only be back towards February. Not February itself. So we are so excited. I'm hoping those of you that are going to be joining us a little later will also be able to catch our excitement. Other thing that I should mention to you is that these trainings, these particular ones you watch, what we do now, comes every single day of the week. We run these Monday through Friday. And Monday, you have myself coming through with prosperity and, unleashing your destiny. And then on Tuesday we have Aunt Sylvia, Dr. Sylvia, Mansa with her Mindset Change program. On Wednesday we do have our other session, which is the open market. Then on Thursday we have Prosperity for Your Soul with Dr. Nelly. And then on Friday we have Dr. Jackie with Health Tips. Now I would like you to just get onto the comments and just say hello. I've realized that that's always a nice way for everybody to greet each other and know who's around. And I must also mention there's that event you're now seeing. So it simply says, have you registered and paid for our upcoming celebration on Friday, 22nd December? If not, do so today and pay the old price. So if you actually register today, now, during this, between now and 17 hours and pay, by 17, you still get the 500 kwacha price. We are changing the price now. In fact, even the option will disappear on the form from 500 to 550, or is it 550 to 600? I keep forgetting. But we are changing the price to 550, I think, and that changed yesterday. But I've just remembered that, hey, look, we got people coming on the call. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this on the call right now and you hear this offer and you realize, hey, wait a minute, yes, you can go and pay now, and the link is actually available. I will be sharing the link in a moment. It's already shared on the comments, but there it is. That's the link, revwalter.com/events, and you will be able to be taken to the page, which actually has all the details on that page. All you simply do is literally register, and after your registration, you'll be taken to another page where you select the ticket. So you just select the 500 kwacha one, and then you click at the bottom and it will redirect you to the page for payments. Now, I didn't realize that that page all this while was showing my book. Walter, hello. So it was showing, if you want to pay for my book, I'm like, so it's supposed to say, if you want to pay for the celebration, the get together celebration, whatever, then you can use the details below. So all the details are there, all payment options are there. Go ahead, make your payment. You can buy one ticket, you can buy 10 of them, it doesn't really matter, but just get all those. And then once you've done all that process, then you can attach your proof of payment. It's a very, very simple process, straightforward, nothing complicated. Do that and you get an email from us confirming your payment and indicating that we've received your pay. And so in that case, that's your proof, you're sorted. And at that stage, you will be good to go on the 22nd itself, when you'll be able to come through and we be together. So that's the registration link. Head on there right away and make sure you are part of what's going on. And special thank you to Alice, good morning. Edem, all the way from Ghana, good morning. Glad you join us every morning. Gladys Salilo, good morning. And a LinkedIn user whose name is not showing, good morning to you. Uncle Steve, as always, good morning, and we are looking forward to a great week indeed. And so to all of you there, thank you for being part of what we do here. Now this morning, I'm going to be actually doing the third part of Mastering Your Communication Prowess. We have demonstrated repeatedly how important communication is, and we've shown that if you don't have the right comms, it's going to be very challenging for you as a business to progress. It's going to be very challenging for you as an individual to progress. So you need to have this particular skill mastered. And to be honest, for a lot of people, they don't realize this. It is the differentiator between those who go on actually to make a big mark in their space and those who don't. It's really just who's the better communicator between the two. And so you're going to realize that if you make it a point as a business to communicate well, and not just your business, but you as an individual, this is going to make a very, very big difference for you when it comes to your life, when it comes to your progress, when it comes to whatever it is that you're doing as a business, as an individual. You will see that this communication plays a very, very massive role on your success. And by the way, this is something that we actually spoke about last week, and I demonstrated for you very powerfully why that's so important. So today, I want to kind of like, well, just a recap, really. Number one, active listening. Pay full attention to the speaker, avoid interruptions, and listen without forming your response in mind. Clarify and paraphrase to ensure understanding, including asking open questions designed to get more out of the speaker. So that's active listening. Number two, clarify and clarity and conciseness. I won't go into details. Number three, non-verbal communication. We talked a lot about that. I showed you how powerful that is and how you would be, really change in as far as your life is and as far as your progress and concern goes. Then number four, adaptability. We spoke about adaptability. Tailor your communication style to your audience. Be aware of cultural differences in communication. Adjust your approach based on the situation. So those are the four items we looked at last time. And now we are going to delve even deeper and look at the other component here now, which is empathy. So we're going into 6. I'll try and see if I can clear all 6 today. So number one, empathy. So rather, number 5 is empathy. Understand and consider the feelings and perspective of others whenever you communicate. Now, I know there's people who like saying, take the truth, hate it or leave it or whatever. There's that whole thing of being brutally honest and honestly brutal. I mean, but I would say, yeah, it might be great to be honest and brutal about it, but it's not always wisdom to just blurt out things. And I'm one person that's had to learn that the hard way. I think even now I'm still struggling with it, but I realize that to be an effective communicator, especially when it comes to workers and people that you're with and people that are in your team and those you want to kind of run with, you need to be a little, empathic. You need to have a bit of empathy. You need to put yourself in the shoes of those individuals, even as you say what you want to say. Be very, very careful with that, because if you don't do so, what you may end up doing actually is injuring people in the name of being brutally honest. So it's not always wise to blurt out everything when you need to blurt it out, because that can actually work against you. So understand and consider the feelings. That's one. Show empathy in your communication to build rapport. So always look for a way that you can create a win-win in any given communication scenario. Don't be too what's the word? Don't be too hard as long as you can get your part. And I know a lot of times there's a lot of people believe in that. For example, as bosses, today I was just hearing something very interesting where somebody said, which is better, to be feared or to be loved? And they said, I would rather be feared. Well, yeah, if you're a gangster, yeah. If you're one who thrives on using fear as a motivation. My experience, especially as a neuroscience therapist and coach, it's not effective. It does not create long-term change unless you're going to be there so long that you create a culture out of it. But even then, even if you create a culture of fear, there still comes a day when people have had enough and they just start to stand up. And then I think a very, very good example has got to be Tiananmen Square with China. Yes, they didn't manage to get rid of the communist government, but it really caused major reforms because people just got tired. I think even more powerful would be Russia. Russia was the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, or whatever that's the USSR. Those guys were just fearsome. Anybody who lived in the era of the Soviet Empire at its peak was absolutely horrific. And they didn't mess around, especially from Stalin into Khrushchev and into all these. But you see, there still comes a time when people have had enough. People just say, we're done. We don't need this. And then the revolution starts. So yes, you can use fear, but it doesn't really work. The more powerful model is inspiration. Now, I'm not going to go into the science of inspiration, but I can tell you one of the best ways to be inspiring is to have empathy. Yes, that's it. One of the most powerful ways to be inspiring is to have empathy. learning how to see things from the angle of those that you're listening to. Acknowledge emotions and respond appropriately. That's another very, very important one. A lot of people usually fail in this area. They're not very, very good at reading emotions and understanding the situation, and so they tend to be a bit insensitive, and that's not very helpful when it comes to running an organization, encouraging people to bring their best to the table. If you are not going to achieve that if your aim, or rather your model or style of operating, is not one of empathy. Then number 6, feedback skills. This is another very important aspect of communication. Feedback skills. Feedback skills, okay? So how does that work? When it comes to dealing with individuals, you need to learn how to provide constructive feedback. So one, when you're dealing with an individual and you realize that that individual needs some help, you can learn how to be effective in communicating feedback. It's not exactly the easiest thing in the world, but with time and with practice, you can learn how to give feedback in such a way that it doesn't crush the people, it doesn't discourage them. I've seen some places where you have bosses screaming all day at people. Yeah, I mean, you could scream and insult people all day, but I assure you, you're not going to get the best out of people, because what you get instead are individuals that are operating under a state of a slave. And you know what? The first opportunity a slave gets to escape, they will do so. The first opportunity a slave gets to be free, they'll be free. When you're not there, they're not going to perform. Why? Because it's for you, it's not for them. So in feedback, it's kind of a similar situation. How do you give feedback in such a way that you don't crush the spirit, but you encourage people in the process and you inspire people to do their best? So I think it's a very, very powerful thing. And there's also seeking feedback for your own improvement. And by the way, on these two, I want to quote one of my mentors, Chibamba Kanyama. He did a post this morning, which I think was very good. This morning, last evening, I'm not too sure when he did it, but he did a very good post. And that post was relating to a video that apparently some helper was, caught stealing in a home. And I don't know what they did, but from him, according to what he said, it wasn't a nice video. But probably they beat her up or something. I don't know what they did to this poor maid. Now, why am I saying poor maid? Because I'll tell you why. Whilst I agree that employees can be a challenge and sometimes you need to be firm and you need to be hard but I've learned that if I want to get the best out of people, I need to get them to do it from themselves. It needs to be what we call inscriptive rather than prescriptive. Now, what's the difference between the two? In the prescriptive method, I'm prescribing, so it's by force. You listen to me, I'm your boss. If you don't do what I say, you're out of here. So you use fear. Now, the challenge with such a situation is that in many instances, there's a lot of resentment. And then also the people are not just seeing the bigger picture. For them, it's just a paycheck and they are gone. I agree that people steal, people are not grateful. I know, that's all true. That's all true. Employees, you can be the best you can be and they'll still stab you in the back. I agree to all that. But you know what? I refuse to accept such a frame. I prefer to believe that every person, somewhere deep within them, they have a desire for what is good, unless they're just pure evil. So every human has the desire for good. They want the best. And this good is based on their own lives. So a great leader and a great communicator learns to find out what is it that matters to these these helpers of yours, like the maid. And if you can, and that's what Chibamba Kanyama, Ambassador Kanyama, was trying to stress in his write-up. If you can discover what that thing is, what's their why, and then if you can connect their why to what they're doing, all of a sudden the perspective changes. Yes, they may steal, and yes, you may discipline them, but you can get a very powerful point out there and lead them to a much better, more powerful human being than if you operated from the situation where it's about force and it's about they do what you say, it's my way or the highway, shape up or ship out. I mean, you could go that route, or you could go through the what is it that you want to achieve and begin to know what matters to them. And when you do, it changes everything, because all of a sudden it's not just about the paycheck, it's about the fact that they're a human being and they're part of what you're doing. That kind of feedback, in my understanding, is very powerful when you get to really know who they are and when you get to know what it is that they dream and what they want to do. Are there exceptions to this? Of course there are. There are always going to be just funny people who just, horrible personality. But my experience has been, when you get to know people at that level, it changes everything. As a salesperson, I used to use this very powerfully. Whenever I'd make calls to customers, prospects, I used to have a little, index card. I would write details about those customers, and I would pick very personal details. They were very effective. So, for example, I call a client. Now, this is me showing you the power of feedback. I call a client, how are you? Good. So I'm trying to, book an appointment, and then they tell me, oh no, today is not possible because, oh, my little child, I need to go watch their citation on Friday, or I need to go and be in their award ceremony. They're graduating into grade 1 or something. These days they graduate into anything. So they're graduating, so there's a graduation ceremony. Oh, really? Yeah. Now what I'll do is I'll take note of that graduation ceremony, and I'll say, oh, what's the name of your child? And they'll tell me, oh no, it's Kangwa. All right, you're right, Kangwa. You see? So next time I call them, I'll see the date on my little card. I'll see the date. And then when we start the conversation, we'll go something like, hey, hello, good morning, Cynthia. How are you today? Great, great. Awesome. I was just checking with you just to kind of firm up our appointment. And by the way, how did that graduation go with Kangwa at your school? Now, that's just a simple statement, but take it from me. Those of you watching, that takes you right past every barrier and you become personal. People feel like, wow, this person cares about me. Now you're looking at the details on your index card. But you see, the power of communication is the fact that you remembered Kangwa and the graduation, and that now they're going into grade 1. That's a personal detail. It hits home very powerfully. It hits home. Take it from me. All of a sudden, you're not just revolter trying to get an appointment. All of a sudden, you care about their life. So I find it very, very effective, especially if you want to really learn this art of communication. Learn the name of the wife, learn or husband, learn the name of the children, and put those somewhere on your. Now, I'm not saying every time that's what you should do, but I'm just showing you that find something that's personal to them, or if they happen to volunteer some information in relation to the same, take note of that. So that next time you're starting the conversation, you pick that up. This works very well also with people that work for you. Get to know their children, the things that matter to them, the village where they're from, their mom, their parents. What are the things that are making them so, what makes them come every day to your workplace? And once you do that, it means you are no longer just interested in them coming and working and going. You are interested in them as a human being. You will be surprised, well, I guess not, but you will be amazed how many people would be willing to go an extra mile just because they think you care. So this is a very profound and powerful way of communication. This is all part of feedback. And so what am I saying? Foster a culture of continuous feedback within the organization. Learn to get feedback from all angles, not just on the personal bits, but just on all aspects of the place. And this is an area where a lot of people are scared to do, because there's all sorts of stories around the fact that you should never be friendly with workers because they delila you, they walk all over you. Again, I choose to differ. That is a very bad frame. It's a very bad mindset, because again, remember, if people don't feel you care, they don't care. And the only reason they work is because you are there. And so they're just waiting for you. But the moment you're not there, they're not going to do anything. The output will be terrible. And remember, if internal staff welfare is messed up, external customer service will suffer. I'll say that again. If the work in the place suffers, if the people are feeling oppressed and suppressed in the workplace, you will see it. They will express that to the customer, and you get hurt. You, the owner of the business, are the ones who suffer at the end, because it's you now that that is suffering because the bottom line is bad. In other words, money is not coming in because everybody's pissed off. So they're only doing things because you're there, you're the boss. Oh, boss, that boss, which means the boss is here. The boss is here. Really, should people be the boss is here? And that's why if you go to the high level corporates now, they have taken on a totally different view. They've gotten rid of cubicles and offices where the CEO is hidden in some corner somewhere. Instead, they've gone for the open approach so that everybody is mingling. There are no permanent workstations anymore. Everybody works in a common room. That is so powerful because what it does, it breaks the barriers. There's no personal secretary blocking, and no, it's changed. And you know, it's so interesting. I'd heard a testimony. I just don't want to mention names because I didn't ask for permission. There's one particular presenter on our platform whose brother is the head of a very, very high flying, heavy level corporate, one of the top corporates in the country. And he I don't know if he's now moved, but he was now promoted to go and head the entire Southern Division. And the day that he was promoted and then the workers heard, the staff heard, there was a mini protest, that as in people were so sad, people were really, really teary about it, and they felt so bad. Now, why did they feel bad? Because they felt that this CEO of theirs is the most empathetic, understanding CEO they've ever had. Now, what made him that way? He was the kind of gentleman that would choose to work from different spots. He would literally go into branches and sit behind the till and be there and actually serve customers. He'd go sit on customer service, and so that's not his job. And sometimes he'd go walk around the room and talk to customers and find out if they're being served. He'd go upstairs to customer service and depends on if there's an upstairs, but he would go to different places just to find out what's the story and what's going on. He'd be all over the place and understanding the challenges that the workers are going through, and then in bringing about a change. And because of that, for the first time, staff were able to see the CEO walk around and greet them and be with them. Unheard of. You know what? I mean, most of the CEOs are locked in their little office castle in the sky, and getting to the CEO is like you make an appointment, and yet you work for them, right? You make an appointment, and there's such a gap between management and common staff. But this particular method that this particular CEO used won the hearts of all his staff. They performed better than any other from a branch level, from a performance level. The growth curve was amazing. And then now they said, no, this guy is too good. We can't keep him in Zambia anymore. We need him for Southern Africa. Now, do you see that? And so the protest in Zambia was like, please keep him a bit more, and then you take him later. But I think he's now gone there. But you see that? That's the feedback power there. So I hope somebody watching this will learn something. Sorry, I took a bit long on feedback. Number 7, effective use of technology. Master various communication tools and platforms. I am learning that by the day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 52. Well, I'll be 52 in March, so I might as well call myself 52 already. And I can tell you with certainty, because I know I work with so many people, I can put most millennials and Generation Zs to the dust. I can put them on a race and throw them out the window in terms of my knowledge and understanding of these technological platforms, which is a shame, really, because you younger people are supposed to be digital citizens, kind of. But either way, you're supposed to be people that have a better grasp and understanding of the tech. So the tech has come to leverage our work in such a way that we can use them to communicate further. I mean, I can tell you that these tools are very effective. And I'm talking about personal level tools. I'm not talking even about social media and all these, just personal level tools. So that means email, and now, of course, WhatsApp. You can create communities in there. I'm so impressed with that one. So WhatsApp communities helps you to disperse information on a consistent basis without necessarily having to be physically there. So email and WhatsApp does that powerfully, depending on the size of your company. I would suggest, especially the bigger, I mean, I know that very, very high level people watch this. Some of you are very high level in your places. I would suggest that, any place where you've got 200, 150, 60 employees, you want to have a common community platform, WhatsApp, where you can share information relating to the company, and you tell everybody that they make sure they pin that so that they see all notifications as and when they come up. As a CEO, also as a leader, as a director, learn to keep the channels open. Make people, make people know that they can get in touch with you at any time over any issue. Keep an open door policy. That's what we call it. In those old companies where they used to have the little cubicle for the boss, keep that door open. Keep all the doors open so that when they come there, they can see right through into where you are. It's not a closed door. The only time it's closed is when you have an appointment, you're having a meeting with somebody, and that meeting it involves private issues. But again, if you're smart and if you've got the money, you should have those meeting rooms with cubicles which have got open glass so that people can see, oh, they're actually in a meeting. That way, it's still transparent, it's still open, and it's still inviting, unlike a closed, locked setup, because nobody really knows what's going on. So keep an open door policy, very powerful. If not, then have those little communication platforms like WhatsApp, which can help you to be able to keep in touch with everybody in your community instantaneously. And then at the same time, ensure clear and professional communication in emails and messages. Avoid ambiguity. That's another area again. Remember, certain things are best said face to face. And certain things you can communicate in an email, you can communicate on a WhatsApp. The problem with WhatsApp, SMS, and email is that you don't see the person, so all the non-verbal cues are not seen. So sometimes what is an innocent message on a WhatsApp can become a serious problem because there's no non-verbals being seen. Suppose you're a person with a wry sense of humor as a boss. There are times you like throwing some jokes around. Maybe that's your personality. So those jokes may be fine in person, face to face, but they are not very appropriate if thrown on an SMS or a WhatsApp. They can actually be completely misconstrued and misunderstood and cause problems. So ensure it's clear and professional communication on anything that is involved, whether it's emails, whether it's WhatsApp messages. Keep it totally professional. Keep all personal stuff away from those platforms, because then you do not risk being misunderstood. And so the rule of thumb is, can you say it in person? Would a call do a better job than a message? So the reason we do messages is because you want what we call a timestamp. So many times, one of the methods that I usually use is I call the person, speak, then after speaking, then I do an email. So the email really comes back to reinforce and to create a timestamp. Why is the timestamp important? Because we use that as a method for evaluating the capacity for those individuals to act on information and how quickly they do it. So in other words, when you see stuff hanging on for a long time, it means you've got bad culture. So if a message comes and it takes days when it can be done in hours, that's a bad work culture. What's the reason for that? So many times emails then become what we call the timestamp to show that we had this conversation on Monday, that was at 14 hours, an email followed at 16. And what's our service level agreement? How long should an email be replied to and the content worked on, and what's the stipulated given time? How long should something be pending? Those effective managers refuse to have pending files, pending folders. So you had three, what you call them? Those days, you used to have 3 files: in, pending, out. So the key is, how many files should be pending? 0. There should be no pending file. If you've acted on something and it needs somebody else, then let it go to that person. But make sure that these things are moving quickly and create a culture of service level performance. So in other words, what's the level? How long should an email sit before being responded to? How long should subjects that are in the email take before they are dealt with? These are part of the key to communication. Now, let me hurry up with this. Then conflict resolution. That's another very, very serious one. It's a powerful one. This one is going to happen. Whenever you have any type of groups of people, there will be conflict. It's normal. So the key is, there's nothing wrong with conflict. The key is what you do with it. All right. So number 1, develop skills to handle conflicts calmly and diplomatically. So don't let your anger and pain and hurt become the key. If you've got issues with temper, learn not to communicate at the time. So for example, if you're very angry, don't write a letter, don't do an SMS, and certainly do not call. If something is misunderstood, wait first to be calm. Then when you're calm, then address it. If you know that you're not in the right state of mind, ensure that you first get into the right state of mind. So these are skills that you have to learn. This is what we call intrapersonal skills. How do you develop the skills to control your sense of anger or whatever it is? Then encourage open communication to address issues promptly. Again, very, very good principle. That one I am big on. In other words, if there's an issue, let's discuss it. Let's speak it. Let's get it. Let's deal with it. Let's not leave anything. Let's not do chimbala for issues. Chimbala means the nshima that stayed or the pop that stays from the previous day. You eat the following day. That's called chimbala in Zambia. Now, you don't want to do chimbala with issues, especially conflicts. It's better that they're dealt with there, and then you get to the bottom of the issue and dissipate it thoroughly and fairly. That's very, very important. And remember, as you deal with conflict, seek win-win solutions and compromise when necessary. I mean, if you know, in neuroscience, we talk about giving up the right to be right. I found that thing to be a lifesaver, I tell you. There are so many places where you and I can just choose to give up our right to be right, and we can move things along very easily. The challenge with most people is they don't want to give up their right to be right. So they really want to show that they were right. And that in itself leads to a serious conflict. Now you have a back and forth and nobody wants to give in. And so inevitably that situation becomes ugly. So the giving up your right to be right is so that you help move things along. If you notice that there is a problem, one of the most effective ways is actually to say, look, perhaps the way I put it may not have been right, but you realize that this situation is not helping any of us. Would you think, is there another way that this could work? Because right now you can see what the results are. They're not good at all. How can we make this work? So you see, that's the win-win. So it's not that you, I mean, unless you're dealing with a real pain in the butt, in which case, why did you hire them? You know, so I'm not talking as somebody who's, you know, at a superior level. But suppose, or what we call supervisory level. But suppose it's just you and your wife. Suppose it's you and your kids. You know, you and, you know, people in your organization or in your association or whatever it is. How do you resolve these conflicts and make them work? Do we have difficult people? I agree, yes, we do. But even if we have difficult people, I've still learned that there's so much we can do as individuals, and we can be able to bring about a win-win. So win-wins really help everybody. So in conflict resolution, find that. Number 9, leadership communication. Now this is very powerful. Clearly communicate organizational goals and vision. That's very important from the word go. That's why I like the idea of SLAs. SLAs, I keep saying that, sorry. SLA stands for service level agreements. Put a proper policy around how things happen and how things operate. But I will tell you something. Strategy, policies, practices, environment, people means zilch if you're not dealing with culture. So you'll find that culture is at the heart of everything, and you have to find a way to create the right culture. And many times they say this. The culture of an organization is a reflection of its leadership. So there you are. That's a tough one. Whatever you see in the home is a reflection of the headship. Whatever you see in a corporation is a reflection of the headship. Whatever you see in an organization is a reflection of the headship. In the words of John Maxwell, everything rises and falls on leadership. You can have the best tools, you can have the best practices, you can have brilliant goals, you can have an awesome strategy, but if the leadership sucks, it sucks. But you know what? Even if the leadership is good, if the culture sucks, forget it. I've said this many times now, it's part of my saying now, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Culture will eat leadership for breakfast. So unless the leader inculcates a new culture, and that's why the word is inculcate. So inculcate means bringing a new culture to an existing culture and dissipate the old culture to replace it with a new culture. If you can do that, you change the organization completely, and it will be seen in a very short time. So clearly communicate organizational goals and vision, inspire and motivate teams through effective communication. Okay, so find a way to make sure your communication is clear, and then demonstrate confidence and credibility in your messages. So don't be a doubting leader, be very sure. And ending, number 10, we're done more or less, continual learning. So every great leader, every great communicator knows that you must be learning all the time. Stay updated on communication trends and best practices in any given setup, and then attend workshops or training programs to improve communication skills. So for example, we are having this get together at the end of the year. That's a brilliant way to network. And so those of you who are joining us on the call right now, if you've not purchased a ticket, make sure you do so. Check in the comments. We have posted the link. It's there, revolta.com/events. If you pay today, you pay the old price of 500 kwacha. It's already changed to 550. We'll be removing the link for the 500 by end of day today. So those of you who want to catch and take advantage of the 500 kwacha price, you better do it now. So when we're done with this call, just go there, register. We're going to be having a get-together dinner or lunch, whatever, in the afternoon of December the 22nd. So December the 22nd, Friday next week, we are going to have this get together. So make sure you find yourself in such places, because one, you'll be getting the best of our information from myself, from Dr. Nelly, Dr. Sunshine, and Dr. Jackie. And on top of that, you get a chance to interact with the whole team, all the people that will be there on that day. You want to network, you want to connect, you want to interact. So those of you who say, no, Revolta is my mentor, Coach Sunshine Sylvia is my mentor, you want to make sure you're part of this thing so that we are able to interact. So attend workshops and training programs, solicit feedback, and actively work on areas of improvement. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much brings me to the end of this particular presentation. Tickets are available. Just simply click. In fact, we have electronic information available on the link. So go there and click. So on that note, I want to thank you so much. Tomorrow, Coach Sunshine is on. She will be taking us through what she normally takes us through, which is Mindset Change Program. I'm very excited about what's coming next year. We'll share more about that on the day, on the 22nd. You will see for yourself. On that note, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your comments. We will certainly catch you next tomorrow.